Hello and welcome to our video England versus France, two countries, many differences. We wanted to give you a short presentation about those two rival countries who are competing in many categories. And some of them we want to compare with you today. We hope you'll find our video entertaining and instructive, and maybe you will find some advice for your next trip to either France or England, as we might also show some of those countries' most popular attractions and places. To give you a general overview, these are two topographical maps depicting England, which is on the left side, and France on the right side. And first, we will continue with England. England is an island in the northwest of Europe and is the biggest country of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. The capital of England is London, which is in the southeast. England's population is about 54,316,600 inhabitants, and like in Germany, there is a division between the head of state and government. The current head of state is Queen Elizabeth II, but she is only a representative of the country, whereas the so-called current British Prime Minister, David Cameron, is responsible for politics and other governmental issues. England's currency is unlike the common European currency, the euro, and is called the British pound. Now let me briefly show you its symbol until we continue with some basic information about France.
The typographical map shows also France, and France is actually set in the middle of Europe or in the heart of Europe. It is known as the country of love, history and croissant. And to give you a general overview or general information about this country, I will start by telling you something about the Republic. It is since 2012, France is a republic with François Hollande as the president, and since 2014, Manuel Valls is the prime minister in France. In 2014, the number of population was 66,259,012 inhabitants, and the capital of France is Paris, and it's also the largest city in France, followed by many others such as Lyon, Marseille en Provence, Lille, Nice, Cannes, and Toulouse.
Our next topic will consider the category sports. In England, there is to differentiate between sports in England and sports in Great Britain, as most of the national teams compete for either England, Scotland or Wales, whereas most individual athletes compete for Team Great Britain. The most popular international sports in England are association football or soccer, badminton, athletics, tennis, boxing, golf, cycling and horse racing or horse riding, and the most popular national sports are hockey, cricket, rugby, squash and baseball. Now I'm going to give you some examples of how successful those sports were in the latest biggest sport events. At the 2012 Olympic Games, the team of Great Britain won 65 medals, resulting in the third place for Great Britain's national team. There was a total amount of 29 gold, 17 silver and 19 bronze medals. The best sports were cycling, rowing, athletics and horse riding. And apart from that, London was also the host of the games. The team of England is also the winner of the 2003 Rugby World Cup, and as the former mother of colonies, Great Britain is also the founder of the Commonwealth Games. Now if you remember the latest Boxing World Championship fight, where Vladimir Klitschko was defeated by Tyson Fury, who is now the incumbent boxing world champion, he's also from England.
So, talking about the sports or the popular sports in France, France, like many other countries, has a taste for popular sports such as rugby, football or basketball, and I'm going to start with soccer. The national team of the soccer in France is called Les Bleus. They won the World Cup in 1998, beating Brazil 3-0, And they also won the European Cup in 1984 and 2000. So the soccer team of France is also well known all over the world. So there are many record holders and legends such as Zinedine Zidane or Henry. And football, or also called soccer, is the most popular sport in France, having 18,000 registered clubs that has a total or well over 1,800,000 players in the roster. So it's very big, and the number of players of the France football team is very big and known all over the world as well. And this team called Les Bleus is one of the most successful team in the world, with one FIFA World Cup in 1998, one second place in 2006, as well as the UEFA European Championship in 1984 and 2000. So you can see that France is actually very good in soccer or football. Another popular sport is rugby, because France is host to the 2000 Rugby World Cup, and the first rugby team in France dates back to 1872. So it's so that rugby is known from the past. It's nothing new in the history of this sport art. Some of the most famous players are Serge Blanc, Abdelatif Ben Azi, Fabian Galti, and they are very known for rugby as rugby players in France.
Now let's talk about the probably most popular sport in the world, soccer. When talking about soccer in England and France, there is a huge ongoing rivalry between those two countries. Let's take a closer look on that. From 1923 to 2015, there has been a total amount of 30 matches between the two national teams, including World Championships. The statistics showed England has won 17 times, whereas France took the lead only 8 times, resulting in 5 ties. Here you can see the results of the 4 last matches. There have been 2 wins for France, 1 for England, and 1 tie. Now let's consider the World Championship. Both national teams have won the World Championship once, England in 1966 and France in 1998. Based on those numbers and statistics, and although being not quite obvious, we claim that the current French national soccer team is better than the English, because they recently showed better results at tournaments and international matches. France also reached the final of the 2006 World Cup, only being barely defeated by Italy. England might have proven better in the past, but it's actually France which is taking the lead today.
As we can see, France and England aren't just in soccer and sports rivals, but also in their former colonies. Both of these countries had in the past a lot of colonies or colonized a lot of countries, such as like France, Mali, Djibouti, Morocco, Algeria, and many others, and also Canada. So these countries are known for their colonies and for the worldwide spread of their language as a result of the colonies. Just as I said, as a consequence or as a result of these colonies, the language, the French language, is spoken now in 29 independent nations, and it's also recognized as one of the most popular language after English, which is spoken in 67 independent nations. And this shows also the influence of the former colonies in all over the world. So like you can find in India so many people who can speak English, and like in Morocco it's the administrative language, so it's is spoken all over the world, these two countries. And the British colonies were 71.2%, and the French colonies 26.8%. So you can see that the winner in these between these rivals is England, which has much more colonies all over the world as France, but it is followed by France.
Coming to our last topic for our presentation. Now, there won't be any talking about boring numbers and statistics. Let's talk about the funny side of both countries. As usual, I will begin with England. My first recommendation as a city trip, and this might have been quite predictable, would be to pay a visit to England's capital, London. London is a perfect example and opportunity to do a sightseeing tour. There are places to visit like Buckingham Palace, home of Queen Elizabeth II and the royal family, or Tower Bridge and the famous Parliament building on the edge of the River Thames, which you can see in the picture. If you're lucky, you might also hear the famous bell in the Parliament Tower called Big Ben. For those who like to experience and explore the many ways art is expressed in London, you should go to Shakespeare's Globe and enjoy a medieval play, or visit one of London's famous museums. And the best is, most of them are free. Now, if you don't like sightseeing and you aren't very much interested in arts, you can also do a shopping tour, starting at Oxford Street in one of the Burberry stores, only to regret your purchase and buy a t-shirt at Primark for £3. And after that, there is still time for dinner. But don't enter Harrods with an empty stomach, otherwise your purse will feel quite light. My personal advice would be to go to Jamie Oliver's Diner, near Piccadilly Circus, which has some very delicious food and not quite that expensive. For me, London is a very special city, as it combines the old and the new to a very traditional but also metropolitan city, which makes it definitely the heart of England. Moving on to our next kind of trip, my recommendation for a beach trip would be to visit Brighton. A person saying England hasn't got sunny days has never been to Brighton. It's a beautiful seaside town with lots of attractions. Visit Brighton's pier and the Royal Pavilion and enjoy the town's bustling nightlife. There's so much to explore. For those who are Harry Potter nerds, you should go on a trip to Beachy Head, England's chalk cliffs, which are not far from Brighton. There they shot the scene from the Quidditch World Cup in the fourth movie. Brighton combines a place of culture and relaxation and has therefore rightfully gained its nickname London by the Sea.
So now I'm going to talk about the topic voyage or voyager, travel or traveling, and I will give you some advices for a city trip and for a beach trip. So for a city trip, I choose Paris, the capital of I choose Paris as a capital of France because I think that Paris is a city you can see all the attractions in 2 days or in 3 days, and you don't need more time to say, okay, I was in Paris and I saw all the important things you have to see while being there in Paris. So I'm going to start with the attractions. The first one is Le Tour Eiffel, Champs-Élysées, Louvre, and also Moulin Rouge. Tour Eiffel is known for Paris, so you have to just sit there and just eat some croissant and drink some coffee with this beautiful view to this Tour Eiffel and just enjoy this time there. If you want to see some other attractions, then I would suggest you to go on a to go to these known as wonder streets around Place de la Bastille. And I have to say that Paris is not just known for its sightseeing, but also for its classy nightclubs. So if you're planning to go on a city trip with your best friends, with your loved ones, well, Valentine's Day is coming, and I would suggest you to go and just enjoy this time with your loved ones. My favorite place actually in France is Montpellier. I would suggest you to go there for a beach trip with your family or with your friends or whoever with whom. It's a relaxing vacation, so there are this city has two sides. The one is the beach, Palavas-les-Flots. The other is Place de la Comédie, which shows the cultural side of Montpellier. And if you want to learn something about the history or the culture or the tradition of this city, you have to go to the Musée Fable and just learn something about the history of this city. Another interesting thing is the so-called Odysseum for attractions. So if you want to like riding horses or just go swimming, go out shopping, eat something, you have to visit the Odysseum, which is very known for this city. It's a beautiful place, and it's not this expensive as Paris, and I would recommend you to go to this city because it's such a beautiful atmosphere in general, and you just can enjoy the time in Montpellier, and this city is very interesting. And also this combination of these two sides, in the one hand you have the beach, and at the other side you have the cultural side, and you can choose either you want to relax in the beach or you want to learn something about the city, or you want to go on a city trip. Like, you can combine both of them. You can combine the relaxing vacation with the city trip vacation. So I just love and admire this city.
Thank you for checking out our video about England and France. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, that you now are experts in exploring those very wonderful countries. Maybe we'll see each other soon on our next trip to England or France. Until then, goodbye and au revoir.